How to prepare your home for a hurricane. We're in Central Florida, and we all know we're in hurricane season right now. I'm doing the video September. Wait. The year is flying so fast. Okay, I'm at the end of September 2025. That's when I'm doing the video. So we're still in hurricane season. There's still a lot of things that we need to pay attention to if a hurricane hits. A lot of times Central Florida doesn't get hit too hard, but there are many surrounding areas that do. Last year we had 2 hurricanes coming across Tampa through Clearwater, down St. Pete's, going down into the Fort Myers area, which affected people really badly. So a lot of times when hurricanes are approaching our area, they normally ask for evacuation, ask for people to come more inland, which is more inside of Central Florida. I've lived there for a while. I've gone through, oh my God, quite a few hurricanes, 5 to 7, 2, 5 maybe, I don't know, 5 to 7 hurricanes. We haven't really gotten affected that much because we're more inland, we're inside, but that doesn't mean, and then most of the time the people from the outer, on the shore, they actually come in, rent a Airbnb, hotels, whatever it is, and just try to shelter out the storm. But what are some of the things that we can do to prepare for it? Well, the first thing we need to do is make sure our insurance policy is intact, especially if you live on a flood zone area, low water pressure area, close to the beach, close to the water. You want to make sure you're protected from hurricane, because in Florida, they do not, if a hurricane is coming, you're not going to get insurance. It's just not going to happen. Once a hurricane is approaching, the insurance companies stop insuring. So you want to make sure your insurance policy is intact, and you want to make sure you know what it covers, guys. That's super important. So many times people think this is covered and it's not. So if you're in an area that gets a hurricane or any kind of natural disaster, I would make sure, look at the fire in California, guys. A lot of those people, insurance company doesn't want to cover or did not cover all that fire, because they're saying it's natural disaster. So it's a hurricane. So on the policy you have, what is covered? If it floods, am I covered? Because most insurance policy is going to have, what do you call it? A deductible. The deductible is going to be, a hurricane deductible is different. And most of the time the hurricane deductible is 1.5% or 2.5% of value. That's the deductible. So that's a lot of money. Because if you have a home for $500,000, and 1.5 of that is the deductible, that's $5,000. That's $7,500 deductible, which means the insurance company is trying not to cover too much. So you got to make sure you know what is covered. Is the roof covered? What are the hurricane perils? What is that? What does that mean? So make sure that you have your policy intact and you know exactly what it details. If you have trees that are close to your home, you want to trim the trees away. If you have a tree that looks like it might fall in a very heavy wind, you may want to cut that tree down or reinforce it or something to that effect, because trees fall in homes more time than you think. Trees also fall in cars too. So you want to make sure your trees is not too close. You want to also install storm shutters. I know they're kind of pricey, but it might make sense to install it. It might make sense to have it just in case it's a hurricane. That might save your windows, okay? Now, let's say the hurricane is actually coming. What are some of the things you need to do? Well, we all know we need to get water. So you want to fill up everything that's in your home, like your bathtub, your washing machine, all that stuff you want to fill up. And one thing somebody told me is you could put ice in your dryer. So the clothes dryer, you put a bunch of ice in it and close it, and put your meats and stuff in there and close it shut. Because, when the dryer is drying clothes, it's very tight closed. That's how come so no air is in there. So it will keep the ice longer in the closed dryer, believe it or not. Also, you want to fill up your washing machine. So you want to fill up your washing machine with water.
Need to buy or sell fast? Make one call, that's all. And put our 23 years of experience to work for you. Gift Group Sells Homes is the way to go. Call for 07-791-4713.
Fill up your tub with water, because remember, if the light goes off and you're on pump, the well pump is gonna cut out too. So you're not gonna have any water. That's something important to do. You want to make sure you do that. Fill up all containers that you could fill up with water. Anything that can hold water, make sure you hold water. In the event of an electrical outage, try not to go in the fridge, right? Because every time you go in the fridge, it's getting here in and out. So try to close. As the outage happens, take out whatever you need from the refrigerator, keep it out, and keep the fridge, keep the freezer at least closed, so all that meat and stuff that you have there will be okay. If you have a propane barbecue grill, make sure your propane tank is filled, because if you can't cook, if you have an electric stove and there's a power outage, then you'll be able to do some grilling, yay, and the propane. So make some fun out of it, right? Super duper important. Also, remember, if you live in an high-rise building, like all those buildings that's close to the water, remember that the wind gets more fierce, the wind pressure rises, the higher it climbs. So if you're way up on the top floors, remember that the wind could break out all the glass, and the next thing you know, the windows are broken and all kind of water is being splashed into your home, which is why it makes sense to probably have window shutters on higher rise buildings, especially if you're on the upper floors. If you're on the lower floors, what's going to happen is if it floods, the water is going to come in with the sand. And when the water recedes back out, the sand will be left there. I didn't even know that happened, but it does. Because the last hurricane that came to Clearwater, which was last year, was it last year? I think it was last year. We went to Clearwater 2 weeks later just to see how it, because that's my favorite beach, of course. So I went over to Clearwater to see how it was, and there was so much sand still on the road. Most of the restaurants on the beach were all closed down. They had so much water damage to them, and there's so much sand in them. The lower level hotels and motels all had damages. They had furniture on the sidewalk because they had to get rid of all the downstairs stuff, because the water came right across the street and just came right in, and all of the low level areas were affected with sand. And I didn't realize how much sand the hurricane pulls with it. But when you're in a hurricane and you're flooding and the water is coming from the beach, it pulls all the sand with it. And then when the water recedes, the sand stays there. So you got to clean up all that sand. So got to be mindful of that. So if I was going to live in a high-rise building, I would not be on the lower floors. I try not to. So anyway, that's off topic. So anyway, these are some of the things that you got to be mindful of. Also, if there's an evacuation, if they're saying to evacuate, go ahead and evacuate, guys. Take all your personal belongings, stuff like your important documents, that kind of stuff, and just evacuate. Don't weather it out. It's not a good idea to do that. So many people have lost their life trying to weather out a hurricane. We can't predict a hurricane. It's natural disasters. No matter what they tell you on the media, TV, radio, whatever it is, they can't predict. They can only tell you what they're seeing. So it may be worse than what they're saying, or it may be less. But isn't it a better idea to be safe than sorry, though? Really? So if they're telling you to evacuate, go ahead and evacuate. And if you're in Florida and you're coming up from South Florida and they're saying to evacuate, don't wait last minute. We all know what's going to happen. The turnpike is going to become a parking lot, right? So if they say to evacuate, be one of the first ones to evacuate, no matter where you are, because all roads leading out of that area is going to become a parking lot the longer you wait. Because some people are going to be like, do I really need to do it? Maybe not. Most people are going to be waiting last minute to see if they really need to do it or not. And at that point, congestion on the road, parking lot, people are blowing, being impatient, all because they didn't leave when they were told to leave. That's super important. So there are some of the ways. Another thing you want to do is you want to get sandbags to put at your front door. So you want to get sandbags to put at your front door to prevent water intrusion. Another thing somebody told me to do, and I just learned this last year, is reverse the car right. You know how, so you lock your garage door and you manually lock it, and then you reverse the car right at the garage door. Because this prevents the garage door from ripping apart and flying up and doing all this different stuff. So instead of using the garage door opener, lock it with a garage door opener, but put it on manual, and then reverse the car right up against the door. Not smash the door in, right up against the door. That creates pressure on the door, so when if there's water forcing the door in, it probably won't break because the car is there pulling it back because the car is right against that door. I just learned that last year. Go figure. So those are some of the things that you need to do to prepare. If you want to also, if you have some more that you want to tell me, put in the comment in the video. Let me know what are some of the things you do when you're preparing for a hurricane. Make sure you get your roof inspected. That's super duper important, especially if you have an older roof, because if the roof isn't intact and the hurricane comes, it might blow off, you might lose shingles. So before the hurricane comes, check for loose shingles that you could nail down before the hurricane gets here. check for any deficiency in the roof, especially if it's a shingle roof. Super important. If it's a metal roof or a tile roof, you need to check the tiles too, guys, because sometimes the tiles get loose. So you want to make sure you check your roof and see what kind of condition it's in. That way you can do some preventative measure before the hurricane actually hits. But anyway, leave your comments. Let me know what are some of the things that you do as well to prepare for a hurricane. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you on the next video.
Need to buy or sell fast? Make one call, that's all. And put our 23 years of experience to work for you. Gift Group Sells Homes is the way to go. Call for 07 791 4713.